Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus, I had to do a new take. I was recording the draft and discussing the draft, but then I got water down the wrong pipe. So I fucking choked and I was coughing for legit 5 minutes. I'm good. I'm good. My lungs hurt a bit, but whew. All good. The drama that has surfaced with Griffin is crazy to follow. I sympathize with CV Max, but mostly with Lehen's Viper, Chovy, and Tarzan. They seem to be screwed over by this entire situation. Sword seems to be a bit of a dickhead, and CV Max just seems very passionate and very emotional, and I think that's why CV Max has done some things that might come across as irrational or burning bridges, so to speak, but he seems very passionate about this team. He seems like he loves his team. I've always had a very positive impression of CV Max, and I'm sure he's going to bounce back, and I think Griffin will have to watch out whenever they face the team that CV Max is going to coach, because he's going to put his life, his soul into beating Griffin. He seems to be the type of guy that you don't want as your nemesis. Nevertheless, CV Max is not here. We're gonna talk about this game specifically because it's been requested. People are like, oh, what? People have conflicting opinions about this draft. People have blah blah blah. Okay. Well, first and foremost, here, whenever you play Sona Tam, it's not the same as Sona Tarek. With Sona Tarek, you want to have full engage. With Sona Tam, you want to have poke, and you want to kite, and you want to play on the fact that you get prior mid and then spread Tam pressure when he's level 11. Sona Tam is very good against poke, which is one of Yumi's strengths, but one other strength that Yumi has is the fact that she's very good at engaging. So if you pair Yumi together with Lee and LeBlanc and, for example, a Gangplank ultimate, then you can catch Sona Tam very easily, and the Tam Eat is not going to help you from anything. That's been nerfed many times here. The Tam Kenshi, if he eats someone, he can't really peace out in the same way as he could in the past, and this is a big deal. So here, Yumi poke is relatively weak against Tam Sona because they are very good against poke, but Yumi attached to a LeBlanc or Yumi attached to a Lee, and all of a sudden they can find hard engages, and that's the big thing here. If you find hard engages onto Sona Tam, LeBlanc, there's a lot of other ways to deal with this. It's not necessarily Garen here. I think Yumi Garen is like Sona Tam is definitely fine into Yumi Garen because the lane matchup is going to be relatively stale. And it's going to be fine. So I think Sona Tam in a vacuum is good against Yumi Garen. If they picked Yumi and a different AD here, if they picked like an AD carry here or an AP carry here, I think it would be cooler against Sona Tam. But Garen, always with Yumi, is going to be fine. It's not the end of the days. I think it's just a complementary champion here that is going to do fine into Tam and Sona, because Tam Sona still have some good lane matchups. If you pick Yumi with the wrong AD, you don't have any kill pressure onto Tam, and Tam can actually pressure you. A common mistake is people pick Sivir into this lane, and Tam can just all in you, and they can win. Sona Tam isn't necessarily a weak lane the same way Tarek Sona is a weak lane, because they have some all-in potential. Tam Kench is going to rush a better item than what Tarek needs to rush, which is a catalyst. So this helps out big time. Tam Kench wants to use like a base timing. He wants to TP back, and he wants to finish his warding item as soon as possible, meaning Eye of the Equinox or whatever it's called. And this makes him tanky enough to all in, and he's pretty much unkillable versus an AD carry that might have a BF sword and maybe a long sword. So you have to be very careful with what you pick, and there's not a lot of AD carries you can pair together with Yumi. So here, I don't know, if you can pick something bottom that is like a LeBlanc, not a LeBlanc, like a Vladimir or something like this, something that just scales, it could be better than Garen, but Garen should be okay, shouldn't be necessarily a problem. I just think Yumi with maybe something else is better, but I can't really think of what, so maybe I'm wrong here. Nevertheless, Yumi poke definitely gets denied here by Sona Tam, but Yumi ultimate is still one of the best engage tools in the game, and that's why I think Yumi is still good into Sona Tam. If you can deliver Yumi with, for example, Garen move speed, Garen move speed, he's going to go Boots of Swiftness, maybe Tamkench slow is not going to be good enough, and then they can find engages. So honestly, while Sona Tam is good against the poke, it's not so good against Yuumi engage. I think Yuumi is just higher quality than these two champions. A big buff for Tamkench and Sona has been the fact that Yuumi doesn't slow as hard. The Q slow was very monstrous and Yuumi Garen could catch up to anything. Now maybe with Swifties on Tamkench here it's going to be better. The thing that stands out the most here, more than anything, is the blind pick Fiora. I just go take a shit somewhere, man. Like what the hell are you thinking with blind pick Fiora? There's so many counters to blind pick Fiora. GP is one of them, definitely. It's a very good matchup for GP. Fiora, sure, if she scales into the game, it might be wonderful. But also, the problem here is that I don't know if Licorice plays Gangplank. I've never seen him play it. And you need to blind pick an AD champion here. Because the mistake here is that Cloud9 picked Elise. Do you want to play Elise with Sona Tam? It's not that great because you're left with very limited options in what you want to pick in mid lane. So here you wanted to pick Zoe into LeBlanc, which is okay. It's a skill matchup. I think LeBlanc scales better into it because eventually on Luden Zeka you can just one-shot, but Zoe can also one-shot LeBlanc. So it's definitely a skill matchup. I think LeBlanc has an easier time. If Zoe loots good items from the creeps, then it will be quite tricky. But nevertheless, you know, it's definitely a matchup that we have to pay attention to. It helps a lot that Tarzan has Lee Sin here. Lee LeBlanc is much better 2v2 than Zoe Elise. LeBlanc most likely won't go for cleanse, but if she does, it's going to be much harder. They can also itemize Mercury. If you have Mercury on LeBlanc, Mercury on Lee, enemy mid 2v2 has absolutely no chance. But Zoe is here to complement the poke of Sona Tam. Use Zoe to get prio with Tamkench and then spread that pressure across the map because this is what they want to do. And then together with Zoe, Tam, Sona, pressure mid with Elise and then give space for Fiora. But the problem here is Fiora is solo AD and she's laning against the GP. She's going to fall behind and be complete garbage. So if we talk about Sona Tam, there's a lot of other things that are moving. I think Elise is a big mistake. They just pick it because Blabber had an okay game against G2 where honestly I think the problem was more G2 just trolling and Blabber getting a confidence boost, I guess, because I think he was very unimpressive. People were hyping him yesterday, but only I think Licorice was the only one actually playing. Here he's picking Fiora. I don't know if it's fucking correct. It seems fucking off. Because it relies so much on the team here to find ways to pressure. Sure, you have an Elise. Maybe Elise can give you an advantage early and then you snowball that. But I think it has to be like the shy Fiora for that to make sense. Later as well, Fiora sucks balls against LeBlanc. LeBlanc 1v1, she cannot win. Like, it's so difficult to win LeBlanc Fiora 1v1. And LeBlanc here, if she goes TP with Mercury, she doesn't need cleanse on mid, and she can definitely win the Fiora on split if Gangplank for some reason can't. Just the way LeBlanc trades. She trades short and quick and with a lot of distance. It's difficult for Fiora to chase that. It's very difficult for her to catch up unless the LeBlanc hard trolls. So this is something you can pay attention to as well. So I think just Fiora, a blind pick against LeBlanc, and this is what you're seeing. I think it's pretty poor. They just need an AD champion, that's why they pick Fiora. Maybe Aatrox would be better blind, but there's counters to Aatrox too. Maybe I'm too harsh on Cloud9 because it's difficult to blind pick AD, but here obviously if they don't play GP, they're in trouble. Here, GP was the pick for sure. I think they're just maybe afraid of Vladimir, but then you have to change up your bans. Cannon is a good ban into Fiora. Akali is a good ban for Fiora, but honestly, it's whatever. Here was Ezreal ban, it's pretty troll. It's really crazy here that both Xayah and Kai'Sa are open, but Yuumi Garen are picked. Lee is a wonderful pick. I think Lee is probably the most successful jungler at this tournament because you have some crazy Lee Sins playing here. And I think Tarzan Lee Sin is really, really good. So to talk about the draft, I definitely favor Griffin here because I think bottom matchup is relatively even. Mid matchup 2v2 is much better in Griffin's favor. Top matchup is much better. And then scaling wise, I think Fiora needs to be very fed for this to work because I think Griffin have enough tools to snowball maybe a Rift Herald into taking mid tower. If for some reason Cloud9 lose mid tower, they have absolutely no chance this game. Because the moment the mid tower falls, engaging on Sona Tam with Yuumi, LeBlanc, Garen, Lee, Gangplank is just too easy. So if I look at these two teams without name tags, for sure red side is superior here in every shape or form. The problem with picking Sona Tam is that there's so many specific pieces you need to pair it with. And here, if you pair it with a Fiora and a Zoe and Elise, is not that great. For example, if you have a Jarvan jungle to transition good early game, Zoe is quite decent, and then like a Gangplank, I would like it a lot more. It would be a better composition. It would have a better damage mix here. Because here, Zoe, Elise, and Sona, like Sona cannot buy a Void Staff. She cannot. She doesn't have the room to buy a Void Staff. So that already sucks. That enemy is going to have a lot of MR already when she sees 4 Mercury on the enemy team, because Yuumi is not going to buy boots and she's going to buy maybe Athenes. It's going to be suck. It's going to suck so hard. And Sona cannot buy Void Staff. So already there, when enemy team is buying too much magic resistance, really terrible. Tahm is going to get kited and caught many times against this specific team, because it's just natural against the LeBlanc. LeBlanc is good into Tahm. The GP ult is harsh, and the Yuumi ult is also harsh against Tahm. Swifties are going to be the saving grace here for Tahm. And hopefully he goes tenacity in his runes and resolve, and maybe he can get away like that. But it's definitely going to be a game where Tahm Kench will be caught plenty of times, I believe. Zoe is good with Tahm, but just because you have Elise and Sona, it's going to be worse for you. Because with Zoe, you always want to have a clean path to... you want to buy Luden's Echo into spell penetration and double spell pen. Same with Elise. Double spell pen with jungle item. This is the best build because you have so high base damage. And here you get prevented from doing that because enemy gets too much value because they're going to all buy MR. So C9, just horrible draft. I think Fiora needs to gain a lot here in the early game, pressure-wise. If not, GP is going to take over the Fiora lane, and Elise maybe can do something early because she should have tempo onto Lee at level 3. If she doesn't get value on level 3, maybe kill GP or pressure GP so Fiora gets a lead, then it might be hard. Very, very hard. It's also, you know, dependent on if Zoe gets good items, if she can do something to pressure the map with good items. Maybe she gets a redemption, pushes mid-wave, pressure into top. Pretty much C9 have to pressure a lot into top, so Fiora is ahead here. Because their team comp cannot force Nashor, they need to make sure that Fiora is strong enough to win split, but that's super difficult against GP and LeBlanc. So here, no clear win conditions for Cloud9, I don't like it at all. Griffin, strong laners, strong initiative in the early game that can make them, put them in a situation where they break mid tower. They need to make sure that breaking mid tower is a great objective here for them. And then afterwards, just continue engaging on mid with all of these wonderful tools. They can find flanks, they can find Yuumi ults. It's very difficult for Tahm, Sona, and Zoe here to walk up. And on top of that, you know, while we talked about how Sona Tahm are good against poke, Yuumi is also pretty good against poke. So the Zoe, even if she hits some spells, if Yuumi buys Athenes this game, she's going to be able to heal a lot, and all is going to be good. So, with that being said, I haven't watched this game. I know the result, that I can admit, but let's continue. I will not reveal the result because maybe some of the fans don't know, but maybe, you know, thinking about the draft alone, it might be telling. I can't look at Swords seriously anymore, and from all the rumors that I've heard, it's kind of a meme. I'm gonna move my face to the left. Boom. To the left, to the left. Na 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 na. Niski using the OP skin, why not? If he's allowed to, just go for it. Comet on Lens, very standard. Fleet footwork on Viper, very standard as well. Tenacity in his runes. Here, magic resistance is king. Even on bottom here, Garen can go MR runes, and it's quite nasty here, quite nasty. C9 leashing, so they're gonna know Elise's path. They just want to give Elise as much tempo as possible. 1000 starting blue, so there's no invade shenanigans happening onto him. and then he continues with Gromp. Tarzan looking for a full clear, very standard Lee Sin stuff we've seen the entire tournament. Here Lehens is just queuing to make sure that he can get as much of passive stacks as possible. Sneaky is looking for the same. Maybe this is a game where Lehens should have went for Klepto. Klepto Yumi sounds interesting. You're gonna farm a lot on the Stam Coco, you're gonna look to auto him. Licorice finding a way to gain prio. I think here a GP should definitely be able to win out because his Blaze passive is just so strong. But now Licorice is level 2 and the wave is too big, so Sword can't contest, and he wasted already half his mana to lasted creeps, which I think is always a mistake with GP early on. Even if you miss a CS, it's better to just fucking queue the enemy for a grasp hit. But here he had no grasp, so it's a bit more understandable. So we're not gonna, be too harsh with Sword here. But Sword is completely So Licorice is playing this matchup very well so far. Blabber, his timing is quite good here. Maybe Tarzan's gonna face check, but Tarzan is smelling something. Blabber started the golems. I think it's a mistake, especially since he knows Tarzan is doing this path. Maybe he could find ways to punish, but instead he just wants to take the golems. He knows Tarzan might know, because both jungle path things are quite evident here. Tarzan should just look for raptors. What Tarzan could do here as well is to punish by going for enemy raptors, but the problem here is that the map is going to be divided for quite some time, because Tarzan wants to go into bottom side and take bottom crab, but Elise has a lot of top side camps, so she can take this crab and spend some time on top because Sword is bouncing the wave. So here if Blabber looks to gank top lane, it might be very powerful, but Blabber is looking for double crab, and I don't like this at all. They are forgetting what their win condition is here, and Lee Sin can retake. He knows exactly Elise's pathing, and Tarzan is saving Sword here. Blabber is saving Sword. I think this was terrible. This was god-awful. This is really bad. Ignore bot side crab. Honestly, just take your top side camps and pressure this lane here on top. Sword bounced the wave. Look at this position of this wave. And just because Elise showed, that's the worst part of this. She showed, went through mid, and then went into bottom crab. Deserves to be benched. Honestly, sub in Svenskere, because this was terrible. You can't play Elise and play for yourself. It's honestly really bad. Here with Fiora, look at the position of the lane here. Imagine if Elise maintained topside control. She has 2 more camps to do. She's gonna give up bot side crab. She's gonna be in fog. That's the biggest part here. She's gonna be in fog. Yumi Garen couldn't give a shit if Elise is on bottom. They're not gonna have pressure dive. They're not gonna pressure gank even. Because the moment, this Garen is sitting on fucking 550 MR already, and he has W when the cocoon hits, he can just walk away, no problem. Burn a flash, who cares? Here, Elise should have continued to pressure topside and make sure Lee Sin can't enter the space. He would be in fog. Lee Sin would be worried, because what you could do with Elise as well is just stay in fog, go all the way around, and then trap Lee here as well. It's possible, because Lee's movement is predictable. But instead, he showed on mid lane, went into bot side, and lost 2 camps on top side. So Lee Sin is ahead, and GP was saved. Licorice played this amazingly well. I don't know how the fuck he managed to get prio. And then the wave bounced, and then Elise should have been there to punish, but instead he went for fucking bot side crab. Reportable offense. This really bothers me. Now Elise gets spotted again. He's trying to retake his own jungle camps, but Tarzan is just fucking inside of his head. This was very difficult here for Tarzan, because he pathed into top thinking that GP is gonna have prio. So Sword somehow entered. There's no way in fucking hell you're supposed to lose prio. You are stronger level 1. You need to be on the wave, and you need to make sure that you are stacking your grasp as soon as possible, because if you're as first, she has grasp on, she's gonna Q you and poke you, then she's gonna win. So it's very important you stand on the wave, you make sure you have your trailblazer ready, you cut Fiora, Q her, and then you walk away, punch the creeps, and GP can get prio for sure. This is shocking. And Tarzan pathed in a way where he expected GP to have prio, but instead there was no prio from GP. Tarzan lost his golems, and then Tarzan was like, I need to gamble here, I am screwed. And then Elise is like, oh, okay, you want to gamble? No problem, let me fucking solve this puzzle for you by going through mid lane, going for bot side crab, and then you can just take my jungle camps. And look how confused Blabber is. He's like, what the fuck happened to me? You took all my shit. And now Licorice is in the position where he's the one bouncing, but Tarzan cannot spend too much time here, because obviously his camps on bottom are spawning, so he can't spend too much time here. He look Sword is really shit GP, really bad GP. This is 2 a.m. so I'm a bit harsh, but the fact that every time he has grass proc and he's shooting the creeps is just creeps that won't even fall without his interaction. Is quite sad, honestly. Very disappointing. Here, Sword being 20 CS behind in this matchup, it's a tragedy. Licorice playing very well, Sword playing very bad. Whatever way you want to phrase it, Licorice has been quite crisp this tournament. I think he played a lot better this tournament than he did last year, honestly. And that might sound weird, but I think he has faced some tougher opponents, and I think he is doing good. Okay, Blabber on mid, Chovy's in position. Chovy has Mercury already, as we spoke about. Mercury nasty against Zoe, and of course Elise. Blabber dodges the E. Nice. Some of that solo queue practice is paying off. Good for you. Lee Sin is spotted on wards. Griffin seems to be winning our bot lane matchup. They seem to be stronger in the all-in, and it seems to work better for them. But Tompkins didn't have a base yet. He wanted to wait for 6 minutes. He wanted to base and then TP back. That's another advantage here that Griffin's bot lane have, is that they can TP back together. And here C9 have to use Unseal Spellbook as a summoner. And also they need to use 2 TPs to get back into lane and use the tempo. But this is a classic move for Tompkins, just to get Unsealed Spellbook, lane until 6 minutes, and then boom, base on Eye of Equinox, go bottom and get even more gold for Sona. But it seems like Griffin trading pattern was better. Obviously they were winning trades because they had base and the enemy did not. So we have to see how this lane progresses now, because now Zeyzal is a lot tankier, he's a lot thicker, and he's harder to kill here for Griffin if they try to all-in Zeyzal specifically. Sneaky didn't get to base on tier. Usually that's what you want, but maybe his Klepto luck was just poor. Happens, no problem. We don't judge him. Sona, maybe the next cosplay. Who knows? Last time we predicted whatever the hell he played. I don't remember, Casio. Let's see what comes next from Sneaky. Respect to Sneaky, but doing whatever he wants to do. Not something I would do, but you know, to each their own. He's a pioneer in his own field. Licorice, good trade, very good trade. I like the buy as well. Vampiric Scepter knows that the all-ins are going to be in his favor, and Sword doesn't seem to be poking as well as he should. What you want to do with Fiora is you want to try to W a lot of the poke, and then just look to Q to respond and hit the wave as much as possible with your Vampiric Scepter. The state of the lane, the state of the gold and everything here is quite good for him. He could have potentially froze the wave here, because Sword did in fact ult the wave and base back. So this is just Sword being on a back foot and honestly just subbing Doran already, because he wouldn't do shit like this. Sneaky now can be eaten by Zeyzal. Still, you know, Griffin used ult here. Pretty stale. Honestly, Griffin are just testing some limits here, because they're taking no risks. They're trying to check if we can kill something. If they cannot, it's a good way to view it. I'm curious what this base is for. They're trying to keep Tompkins here. I guess for the tier, it's quite big. And then wards also. Tom can also catch the farm, so there's no problem if they base. Tom is not going to get dove, but Griffin do in fact use this opportunity to take dragon, which is quite good. Griffin here have completely abandoned top, and they've pressured mid 2v2 and bottom, placed pinks, wards all over the place. They will always have this option, because after Mercury LeBlanc, honestly, C9 just have no chance in the 2v2. Niski also went for cleanse. Not sure why. I think it's quite weak. I don't know why you would go cleanse. It just means that you're not so confident. Because honestly, you can go ignite as well, and it's going to be better. And what you can do is you ignite the LeBlanc and you get the move speed. And with the move speed, you should be good enough to dodge any chains. Because even if you cleanse the chain, you still take the damage. So it doesn't matter. I think it's just cleanse is always a bit of a mistake in my eyes against LeBlanc. Even heal is better, because that move speed should be enough for you to dodge a chain, unless LeBlanc is just miles ahead of you. And Niski was severely outmatched against Caps. Chovy might severely outmatch him too. But now, so far, lane is even. Niski has been picking up some barriers, some heals. Good for him. Wards fully maintained here for Griffin on bottom side. We'll have to see how it develops now when both teams have ward totems. Liquor is doing a wonderful job here on top, forcing GP ult after GP ult. Well, it was only one GP ult. I imagine he might force another one, and Sword is just on the back foot, and he just looks like a really poor GP player. No poking to be done, and Licorice is having a very good time here. So this Fiora blind pick definitely working out. Griffin with the GP response doesn't seem to work out. If someone tells me differently about Griffin Fiora matchup, I'm happy to hear it, but I think GP should hard win early on specifically. But Fiora just seems to be winning next level Fiora gameplay here. Blabber, because of the top situation, he knows that Griffin have kind of abandoned top for good reasons. This is not something that Griffin should contest, they're just too late. Jovi is trying to poke as much as possible, and C9 with the pry on top, just secure a Rift Herald. So far, C9 are maintaining a status quo. Fiora being so far ahead is very positive for them because that's the only physical damage that they're going to do. So we'll have to see if, Griffin will have to itemize any differently. Oh no, Niski missing that Q is really big. Sneaky flashing. I'm assuming Zazel has no eat. Otherwise, this wouldn't make that much sense. No eat on Zazel. Zazel also instantly flashed. Yeah, it seems, I was talking about how the Yuumi bot lane seems uninteresting, but it seems like Griffin bot lane is just stronger. It seems just to be stronger. The lane seems to be stronger. So forgive me for calling it wrong. It's just a matchup I've never seen before. I just try to use my imagination. So apparently, Garen Yuumi seems to be winning out against Sonatam. I think it helps immensely that they just have more summoners. Here, no summoners on both might lead into a kill. Blabber with that selfish greed has managed to keep himself ahead. He's one level ahead of Zli. Lickers with a wonderful W again here, denying Sword's Q and his barrel. Thing is, with Lee, a gangplank against Fiora specifically, you want to space it out as much as possible. Blabber might die here, but Zazel is on the spot with Tumult. Let's take a step back and see how this played out. So Viper has TP here. Viper has TP and he has Yuumi on him. He's looking, he's walking towards mid lane. Tarzan looks to flash out. And C9 here, Sneaky was the one that snapped TP'd and Tam ulted. So maybe Sneaky could just come along with the Tam ult and could keep his TP. Well, it doesn't matter so much. Griffin gets away. I don't know what they were actually doing here. Here right here, Chovy is basing. Tarzan is sitting in the bush because of LeBlanc TP, but it's just a bad timer because C9's bot lane is not around. Like C9's bot lane is missing. They were at base and you don't know what their next move is, if they are trading side or whatever they're doing. So Sword, once again, he has ult off cooldown because he used it bot. I just remembered for the all-in that burnt all those summoners. Herald used the mid lane. TP now from Viper and Lehens. They managed to save the tower. Not a big deal. Viper is against, Yuumi against Garen against Zoe is quite interesting because you can just W the bubble and the tenacity will get you out very fast. Sword has to flash. Licorice, absolutely dominant this game. If you remove these name tags, I would think it's the shy against someone because of the advantage. Sword, if he survives here, it's quite a disaster. Okay, 1 for 1. I respect it considering there was an assist for Fiora and GP is losing more and more CS. And now with this item, Fiora doesn't really give a shit about the poke of GP and she's scaling very well. Usually you want to be at Trinity Force already with Gangplank and You know, with Trinity Force, you can always take a matchup as GP and just say, hey, I don't want to interact, so I'm just gonna one-shot the wave. Cool. Usually at this point, if Fiora has one item, GP should have one item. It's hard to watch. Niski picked up an Ignite. Chovy ending up ahead here in CS. Sword burning his flash there. Blabber coming around the corner. Kakuna Matata. Sword sidestep, but it doesn't matter. Sneeze. No kick for Lee. So here still, the next question mark is how things will develop here with C9 and Tamkench. They're putting Sona Tam on mid. I think Tarzan should stop wasting time on Griffin's side, Sword's side. He should just be on LeBlanc's side and look to win the 2v2 and then pressure into mid together through the 2v2. And Chovy manages to get 1-for-1 in a situation where his jungler is trolling. This is also reportable offense, Tarzan wasting time. Tarzan, after that genius move, he's been inting quite hard. This is a reportable offense. Griffin's decision making here to make Sword look better in this game is quite of a joke. Licorice can just walk up and doesn't need to give a shit. I don't know why Tarzan is wasting time here. As a bot laner or mid laner, I'll be very frustrated here because a very big point here. Chovy on Mercury, boom, 2v2 is heavily in C9's favor. What did I just do? I just pressed the button. Yeah, my bad. Okay, we were here. Niski with a Q, misses, chain lands, drowsy, Mercury on. Niski Q's a bit too late, so he didn't get the bonus damage from the bubble. And then Chovy plays this as well as he can. And then boom, the spiderlings. It's crazy. If he changed form, like if the spiderling didn't get the auto off because it changed form, that would have been crazy. But 1-for-1, Chovy making the best out of the situation, considering his jungler is hard trolling. Just Lee needs to just back up LeBlanc, get the prio, pressure into mid, and all is good. But it's a big deal here that C9 managed to get the Rift Herald. This is something that I don't think they should have been able to, considering their matchups. Lehen's going for the Athene's adaptation to deny some of the Yumi poke and the Sona poke. But so far so good, the situation here where Fiora's going to reach a point where she's just going to straight up dive Gangplank. It's going to be very important. But still, we have to remember the interaction between LeBlanc and Fiora is still quite difficult for Licorice. But he's super strong now. Licorice is super, super strong. So it might not matter. Because here, C9, they don't have a lot of Nash pressure. They need to poke and use the prio they have in mid lane, and then after that they need to just look to engage. So here they found a way to force Zeyzal eats, and without the rest of the team, you can see here Garen and Yumi interaction against Tamke and Sona alone, they're not so strong. That's why I was referencing in draft that they need to make use of Lee Sin, make use of LeBlanc, find that burst damage to take some targets down and catch them instead. Chovy using his mirror image to do well. Niski on the Zoe honestly was matching a lot of the trades with Chovy, but we don't know how lucky Niski was with items. Every time we saw him on the screen, he either had an ignite, a heal, a barrier. So it's hard to judge. Some of the luckiest Zoes are going to always do well in the matchup. But so far, you saw some of the trades that we saw. Niski has been doing well, much better than the game we saw against C9, where he played Tristana and was a bit of a meme. So yeah, Viper, he activates his W here. He activates his W. Boom. Tarzan took some of the eating from Elise damage. LeBlanc managed to push him bottom, and C9 get nothing in the mid lane. And then Sword. What happens to Sword? Look at Sword's HP right now. Sword gets chased off of the turret because Sword is in between towers. Sword is trolling once again. And Fiora gets a full mid tower because Sword is trolling. And Full top tower, sorry. So a big thing here with Fiora and her buffs is it didn't change any of her bad matchups, but whenever a matchup is good or when she's ahead, she takes towers very fast. So you could see the tower is practically full. The tower is pretty much close to full right now, and then the tower just fucking falls with the E of Fiora and the Q. So while the Fiora buffs are not that interesting in my eyes, whenever she's in a good state, like in this game, 40 CS ahead and a full tower, she's super happy. On top of that, this was the first tower, so Fiora is monster happy. Very, very happy. Licorice in a perfect state can carry this game now, depending on how well he can interact with the Fiora. But he's buying Mercury, he's preparing for it, getting Trinity Force. Is going to give you the tools to fight back a little bit, and could be good still, could be good. Licorice is definitely on his way to carry. Now you can see Zonya is being built on Elise instead of the classic spell penetration items, because he's seeing the Mercury's starting to stack up. Tricky part here is for Niski. He's always supposed to match bottom, but honestly, just Griffin's 2v2 is so much stronger. So as long as they pressure through bottom into mid, I think it's difficult for C9. Just make sure to pressure 2v2 on mid. The siege for C9 is quite bad, and then loosely LeBlanc bottom push all the way, threaten one shot on Zoe, and you can go. So this is a very sneaky ward. No pun intended. Very sneaky ward, dodges both pink wards, very good ward. I didn't know about this ward, so today I learned. Licorice starting to punch the tower, you can see how much damage he does, and he's just practically ignoring Sword at this time. Sword doesn't understand that he needs to just clear the wave, which he can, and then Fiora, clear the wave and then hit the Fiora. He can even auto-attack the Fiora. I don't know why he's, why is he letting himself get zoned so hard here? Look at him, he's so fucking scared of her. He's queuing her, and then, you know, here you just want to barrel, and then you want to queue, and she just practically chunk half of the turret for no reason. So Licorice is just playing super well, and he's recognizing that the enemy is not so confident in the matchup. And the longer it goes, the harder this becomes. So this is very important to highlight. Yumi now is on top of Lee. You can see he's trying to set up a gank. But Tarzan, once again, he's trying to deny this Fiora. I don't know if Sword is just complaining in the comms. But Licorice shouldn't die to this. If he does, it's a big mistake, right? I meant in the sense that he shouldn't die from this based over the fact that he should know this is coming. Not because he should survive in this particular position, but him being here in this position is very greedy, and I think this is why Tarzan went. They're expecting Fiora to do red, so they're just making a judgment call, going for the gank onto Licorice because he is doing the red. Here I think it's just too greedy to do red. Licorice can just play it safe, wait for his team to get information. Another thing is, if Elise knows about 2v2 issues on bot, and she has to respect the Lee, she can always get vision through top with Fiora. The wards that Fiora and Sona, Tam, Elise can put on top side is going to make Zoe pretty safe. And then they can spread the pressure and spot Elise if it's hard for them to find vision on bottom side. Because now Chovy fending off the attempts here alone once again. The E doesn't get in range, Chovy gets away, but the tower on bottom falls. So the price they're paying for Fiora dying is quite fine. They get the bottom tower, so he gets to farm up a bit. Chovy now looking for some engages, but those swiftness and those MR numbers are looking quite spicy here for Tam and Sona. And as long as they're not making any hard commitments, Griffin is not going to be able to sink anyone. Short trades, C9's bot lane is super strong in them. So as long as this mid tower falls, it's very hard to engage on this Tam Sona. Very difficult. That's why I was so surprised. Griffin's early game needed to be centered around making sure that, you know, Sword actually plays the matchup the way it's supposed to be played, and then together with that, secure a Rift Herald and then snowball the rest of the game. 2v2 mid into top should have been the plan. Rift Herald into breaking mid tower, and then all of a sudden you can find these engages on Sona Town, because it's going to take you some time to kill them. And if they have the mid tower, they can back off easily, heal up any of the damage you're making. C9 are definitely on a path to win this game. Sona is also getting super strong. She's getting super fed. The generation of gold is much easier for Sona. So here comes the engage, because C9 are deciding to walk up a bit too far. They are going for it. Griffin are engaging right away. Root is landing on 3 people. This is a monster root. Tarzan misses his Q. Licorice is in the battle, but the Qs are landing here. Okay. So here, if Griffin don't manage to find the kill here, which was the case, this looked like a wonderful engage. But look at that exhaust from Zeyzal. That exhaust from Zeyzal is beautiful. Look at that. Boom. Exhaust on Chovy denies all of that damage from LeBlanc, and LeBlanc is in a tough position here. So pay attention to this exhaust here. If you want to become a better support player, you need to understand all the maneuvers of the game. He went for the exhaust and it just denied LeBlanc's damage here. And as long as no one gets one-shotted here with the Garen combo with Lee, then it's difficult to win fights, because the moment here Griffin are forced to disengage, Sona healing is going to start flowing and everyone's going to feel full HP on C9, and Griffin will have to give up this tower for sure. Chovy is very low HP. Very difficult here. If Chovy just goes for poke, he's going to get a Q auto from Sona, and he's going to get chunked to fuck. So it's very important if Griffin want to go for this fight, they need to be in the position to all in. But right now, C9 are looking so freaking strong with the 2 items on Sona. No item finished on Yuumi, only Athene's. They have the Black Cleaver on Garen, but that doesn't matter too much. The 2 item Sona is just monstrous here, and I think it's a big mistake from Griffin to even try to commit here. Also in the previous fights, we have to pay attention here. It's very important that those Lee Sin Qs actually land, because here there are many rooted targets, and Tarzan is looking to Q the Sona, which might be fine in some cases, but I think you should just go for the safe target. It's very important that Griffin lock down one target and then continue when they have LeBlanc rotations back up on cooldown. But here, the upfront damage from Griffin isn't the highest. They need to land a lot of their spells with Lee, and the Griffin top laner with the Gangplank. They have some damage here that is hard to execute. So while we were talking in Champion Select about the tools to engage here from Griffin, maybe C9's tools are just too strong to disengage and too strong to make sure that they stay alive. So the Gangplank ult comes off cooldown right there. Gangplank ult comes down. Maybe this was the issue from before. Maybe they need the Gangplank ult on top of that massive Zoe ult. Gangplank ult falls and the TP comes in. LeBlanc is in position. Fiora's on bot with TP. Zeyzal gets kicked in the forehead. Chovy is looking for some kills, but you saw the Sona damage there. So it's very important here. Every time LeBlanc is going in, it needs to be going in for a kill, because the Q auto just fucking almost one-shots. So Chovy here, 1 HP, gets the block from Viper, and they kill Zeyzal because he got kicked in the forehead. His stopwatch is a waste. He's buying some time, but it doesn't matter anyway, because the rest can't force on C9's bot lane here. Maybe in some scenarios they could have he bought enough time to kill LeBlanc, but she flashes off and she gets away. Tarzan tries to get in. Very important, Griffin need to recognize that they need to itemize MR. MR is such a good buy here against the enemy. Good against Sona, good against Zoe, good against Fiora. The Mercuries are nice and all, but I think you can take it to the next level with maybe a Hex Drinker on Lee, and then just pray that Fiora is not a problem. But here Fiora is a problem. She continued to push on bottom. She is now 40 CS ahead, approaching 50 CS ahead. Maybe we'll see a Flame Horizon this game. Trinity Force almost finished. GP rushing towards an Essence Reaver, I assume. Essence Reaver is a better buy than IE, because the CDR is quite a decent stat, especially the more you get of it. Here, GP would have 40. I like the 40% CDR big time on GP, especially because the ult is so important here for Griffin's team composition. We saw when they lacked the ult, it looked quite difficult, even though Zoe had a very massive ult. So this game is quite interesting. So here, no GP ult, and the exhaust is beautiful. Tarzan aiming for sneaky forced his flash, but it rendered him kind of useless in this fight. So here he didn't touch a single enemy yet. He used the W, he dodged the Sona ult, there's the first Q, and this is where everyone backs off. Chovy looks for the base. He's looking to do blue first, and then he TP'd back. The mid tower being alive for C9 is quite important. Here, C9 have this perimeter that they can always stand on, and they can hit the wave, and the enemy can't really hard force on them. Because the moment they pass the tower, honestly, Zazel and Sneaky can almost 2v5 this team composition of Griffin. So Griffin being even, or Griffin being behind even, is rough here. Zoe already preemptively buying Void Staff. I respect it, knowing that enemy is going to buy a lot of MR if they are allowed to. So I like the Void Staff here. Chovy getting bitten. This Elise does quite a lot of damage on this Mercury Chovy. Boom, he flashes. E-flash is not possible. But he tried. He tried to E-flash. Because here, you can see the E coming from the beginning point. You can't E-flash with Elise. But the E lands anyway. And Chovy's in trouble. He has no flash. He ults over. And now he gets away. Maybe the Athenes is good enough to heal Chovy up. But he has no TP. Very surprising here that, Chovy TP'd onto mid and he can't match Fiora on bottom. Fiora has TP advantage over GP. So maybe here C9 can look for some sneaky Baron plays. Because they don't take a lot of damage, honestly. They can tank it, Tam can tank it. Even though they have a slow Nasher, it's a very safe Nasher. So here it begins. Fiora has TP advantage. Here it's important though that C9 don't overcommit. Because no one's showing on bottom. And Licorice can gain a lot of pressure here on bottom. And he can probably pressure Inhibitor alone. So I think here C9 are rushing it a bit. They can wait until someone shows up on bot. Griffin lose nothing by going and contesting this Nasher. So this gets spotted. I like the play though. We were talking about the lack of damage here from C9 onto the Nasher. But they have a lot of sustenance, so they can definitely tank it. C9 are completely winning here. No TPs on Chovy, no TP on Sword. It is all about making sure that that Fiora TP pressure is being used. But here we're in a position where Cloud9 need to go to Nash once again. Here they need to go to Nash. They shouldn't have gone back into mid lane. I think they need to keep on Nash. The thing is, the moment Fiora crashes here and commits to hitting the tower, C9 need to be in position to hit Nash as well. It needs to be similar. It needs to be in the same rhythm, the same wavelength. Clear that pink ward on Nash. Right here, Zoe is going into top wave. Or I don't know what she's doing. Clear that pink, pressure onto Nash. Because here, Licorice is taking the base. But it's also the fact that Griffin gets a free opportunity to gank here. Tamken's ult right into the Baron pit. Licorice is going for a flash. He doesn't have W. And now Tarzan showing up on bottom. Let's see if Chovy can steal. Wow, that was a smite from Niski. Okay, so it worked anyway. I didn't account for Tamken's ult. They did. Tamken's ulted right on top of the Baron. My point still stands. You need to be in a position where when Fiora hits the tower, you need to be ready to do Nasher. Very important. Yumi is sleeping, but she can take a nap on Garen's shoulder, is no problem. C9 now 100% winning. Only tricky sad part is Licorice has no Baron, which is probably the most important Baron, but you take it. Baron for a kill, completely fine. Still no TPs off for Griffin. A 1-4 combination here could be very deadly here. The Void Staffs are showing up. Sona buying Void Staff. Fuck it, why not? Enemy is full MR, just go for it. Something that I've never seen a Sona buy, but I like it. I respect it. She has a lot of damage output and the MR is definitely sinking here. So I like it. And now, Griffin, they can't break C9's composition now. It's very difficult. They can't break it. C9 need to make a lot of mistakes for this to be a loss. C9 can just heal up, they can disengage, they need to make sure that they are stuck together as 4 and not to pressure mid as hard as they are doing right now. I want to say they don't want to pressure mid so hard because Fiora is not generating any pressure. C9 need to make sure that they generate pressure, wait for Fiora to push, they don't need to walk up here at all. The next wave that's coming, that's the timer that Fiora can pressure on. And when Fiora is here, then all of a sudden you can walk up because then Griffin need to send someone bottom, and all of a sudden they're in trouble. Because you can pull full vision here for Fiora. She's not going to get ganked. You play 4-1, you play it tight. But right now Fiora has no pressure. And even though Fiora is monster fed, team fights is where she can die. So here, they are engaging. Sneaky, very low HP. He can look to be killed here. Sneaky flashes out. Sona ult whiffs and misses. Licorice TPs in a very bad position. Blabber gets kicked in the forehead. Elise manages to survive though, because Fiora kills, of course, what's his name? Lee Sin. But here, Griffin, knowing what's coming, they know they can't stop the Fiora onslaught, so they need to pull the trigger. So here, it was beautifully played by Griffin, seeing that engage opportunity, walking up, C9, spitting on the enemy. Very disrespectful, completely winning position, thrown away. Still, they're in a very good state, but the big issue here is that they burned Licorice TP and got nothing out of it. Licorice TP is a godsend here. And now it looks like C9 are continue to run it down. 2 important flashes now burnt. No flashes across the board for C9. And Griffin can continue to look to engage. Morello being finished here on LeBlanc against Sona. It's completely reasonable. They have a lot of healing, so the Morello effect is quite important. Okay. So here, still, Licorice TP is quite deep and quite cocktail. He cannot survive too long here. He is taking a lot of damage. He's not tanky. He's good in isolated scenarios. Fiora is good in 1v2s, maybe 1v3s if you're optimistic, because she can lifesteal more effectively. Lifesteal is her biggest source of tankiness, so to speak, and why Gangplank can never kill her. But if there's a lot of burst and she can't lifesteal, then she's not tanky at all. You can see she's slowly losing HP. She went for the kill on Lee Sin, and maybe in some world she survives here with the healing. But the Morello is doing a lot of work. Niski is getting chained. Tompkins had no eat there. He already used it. It's a long cooldown. But here, Licorice used TP, big factoid here. Chovy TP on, Sword TP on, they can maneuver themselves around the map in a way where Licorice needs to play for push and then rotate into mid to make sure that his team doesn't get caught. Or C9 can just step back and let Licorice do work, because they can respect in a way where they don't get engaged. So Licorice, even without TP here, can look to pressure, can look to push. He wins against everything. So even though Sword and Chovy might have TP, Licorice can push them out and then walk towards mid and have prio and pressure more than these TPs. TPs are so much stronger when you are on a champion that has prio, because whenever you get push, you're pressuring the whole map all of a sudden. Here Licorice can push and then walk, and then he pressures the whole map. It's a bit slower, but it's somewhat similar in the sense, like in the position we're in right now. Before Nashor, it's very similar. When Nashor spawns, then Fiora pushing all the way into bottom and then rotating into Nashor is just too clunky and too slow. But right now, in a tight 4-1, Licorice can still make a lot of pressure. Griffin, though, it's just important here that C9 respect at the right times. Because Griffin now, you can see Tarzan is looking for an angle. Oh, he's not looking for an angle, he's just looking for a mountain drake. I thought he's looking for some kind of engage from behind, where he can kick someone and then Griffin can force, because Fiora is showing constantly on top wave. Now she's basing, and Griffin can maybe respect this a little bit. Chovy is waiting for Spider-Man. Oh, Blabber. Oh, that's a flash from Blabber. A bit too panicky. I don't like it. He didn't need to flash there. He could have just kept spider form and the spiderlings would tank it. Blabber is a bit iffy with how he changes forms and doesn't pay attention to his spiderlings too much. I think down bottom, it was very close that he doesn't get the kill and doesn't trade 1-for-1 because he changed form for no reason. So that's important. So Melee's mechanic tips there for you. Why steal a name YamatoCannon from someone else? Who the fuck is writing in my chat while I am recording in Streamlabs? What on earth? What the fuck is this guy talking about? YamatoCannon's from someone else. Fuck you, man. I wanna hide the chat. It would be hilarious if people fucking subscribe during a video. If you manage to subscribe during a video and it gets recorded, then I give you a free coaching lesson. I'll review one of your games and give you tips on how to do better. If you manage to subscribe during a video. Well, that's very tricky, so, you know, spend your money wisely. Licorice's TP is off cooldown in about 2 minutes. He finds Chovy, punches him a little bit. The bubble almost lands. Wow, that's so close. That's so close. Licorice rotating into mid. C9 walking into mid lane. You know, the big person that needs scaling and gold now is Chovy. Chovy's level 15. He's stuck on 15. He needs level 16. A lot of that burst damage. He has a lot of good burst targets here. That damage needs to come from him. And now they're finding a fight because C9 is very split here. Sneaky and Niski were walking towards Licorice. Licorice could have maintained this space on his own, and C9 could have stayed together with Blabber and Zeyzal. But Zeyzal and Blabber also, you can make the consideration here that they are walking up too far, but I think it's better to walk with the wave than to walk here for the pink. I think C9 are in a position where they can walk aggressively. And I think here C9 are just uncoordinated. It would be acceptable as well for Blabber and Zeyzal to walk here, but you need to be on the same page. Griffin, the moment they see C9 hitting this pink ward, they see, wow, they are out of position and they're walking for the engage. That Morello, that Oblivion Orb Yuumi is starting to hurt. Look at that fucking Q damage here from Yui. And where is Sona to heal it or to block it? She's nowhere to be found. Zeyzal ate a spider. That's always a nightmare for everyone, to eat a spider. I remember when people were saying this myth, oh, we swallow on average 5 spiders every time we sleep, every year. Fuck that shit, man. Just fucking giving people nightmares. This is Zeyzal eating a spider, not in his sleep though. Tarzan. Blabber has stopwatch as well. He has stopwatch, so Tarzan looked for a flash kick, but he gets stopwatched right away. Here, just kick Zeyzal is also a good kicking target. Licorice is a bit out of position, and here, tricky fight. If we judge the fight from this position, I don't know the outcome of this fight, but it looks quite nice for C9 considering they survived the initial burst here. No Yuumi ult, Gangplank is out of position, no Gangplank ult. So if C9 can walk away from here and kite back with the move speed of Sona, then all is good. But the important part to note here is that Zeyzal doesn't have eat, so Sneaky here is a target. If Sneaky gets killed here through the Gangplank slow, then of course C9 have no chance in the fight. Licorice is also not in the position where he's too activated. He's like a undeveloped rook here. The bishop is blocking him, which is this mountain. Let's see if he can join this fight. If Sneaky gets killed here, then obviously, the fight is lost. Okay. So he got killed. He got killed. And he got clapped. Licorice, you see, he stopwatches. But Griffin just capitalizing on C9's mistake over and over. C9 are exposing themselves to that engage. And now their Griffin's composition, they are reaching critical numbers here. Critical damage numbers. C9's composition is not that tanky. They can sustain that poke. But now the poke of Yuumi is kind of outscaling Sona's healing. Because Sona's healing is not that insane. And now Yuumi's poke is now more of a burst tool. It's no longer the poke, it's just a burst tool where they hit a Q on Elise and it drops half her HP. It's more about that all-in force power, and she has a lot of juicy targets on the enemy team that to chunk in an active team fight. I think Morello is a great buy. If he can finish Morello, honestly, it's great. You see here, Blabber gets queued. We spoke about C9's mistake here, just the fact that they're too divided. They need to maintain the same position, use their disengage tools properly. Here Zeyzal uses Eat for an Elise. It's not that great. Licorice is also not activated in this fight. He needs to be fighting right away and, for example, hitting the Garen right now. But here, before Licorice even says Kawabanga, his team is just dead. And Licorice's position was so shit. C9's position in general was just so shit. The problem was very huge here. Here is ridiculous because, you know, Licorice, even though he W's the Yumi ult, the next stack that comes is gonna root him anyway, because the Fiora W just blocks the stack and the stack doesn't get applied. He already had 2 stacks, so here he gets rooted anyway, he gets killed, and his life is over. What hit him for 950? Oh, it's the sword. Sword coming online now at the double crit item. He had a rough game, and C9 honestly threw this game. They threw this game very, very hard. And they had just no idea how to execute. And Griffin really, really showed something here that they showed many times in the LCK is they are very good at beating teams that are worse than them, because they are very patient. Very patient, and they give away as little as possible. I think something that Griffin showcased this game was that they understood what they needed to do to win the game. They were like, okay, we're in losing position, we need to find engages when they're caught off position. They went for it. In that situation where Fiora was on bottom and she had TP on, they also found a great engage and they went for it. Fiora wasn't pressuring yet, so the TP situation was very bad. C9 just had to respect those timings more, and Griffin just saw the times where C9 didn't respect those timings and they went for it. Griffin's problem here was the early game, and Sword not being able to play this matchup, and Tarzan wasting a lot of time on the wrong lanes. The fact that Chovy was left alone for so long is why I thought Griffin is much weaker than Damwon and SKT long before this tournament. Even during the regular split, when Damwon beat them or SKT beat them in the regular season, even though Griffin got first, they were looking worse and worse because of this aspect where they were not putting as much emphasis on the 2v2 on mid, and Chovy is, playing for his lane. Tarzan here, though, Sword fucked him over early, and then he repaired it, and afterwards I just think he put emphasis on the wrong lane. Just 2v2 mid into bottom. 2v2 mid into top. Sword fucked up the lane, so I understand abandoning him, but then they tried to repair it very late. Very late into the game they tried to repair it, and that was just so bad. Like we saw when they were trying to push in top, when Fiora was like 1v2ing them. That's like the worst thing you can do with the jungle. It's like showing on the map, and it was just really, really bad. Let's take a step back here and see what Chovy did, because it looks like he inted. He gets cocooned. Blabber with the lightning fast mechanics there. Zazel looking for the eat. The Swifties are too OP, man. This fucking Swifty Garen is running away from the town because the slow don't affect him too much, and the new Tamken just needs to auto attack 3 times in order to eat. So that's cool. It's also when I believe tenacity works on the eat. So if you get eaten and you W with Garen in the animation, then you get spit out rather quickly. Spat out. Chovy dying slows down this push from Griffin. A bit of a waste of mash there from Chovy. A bit of a blunder there to W in like that. Needs to just wait for the wave to crash and then W in when he sees the least position. Because definitely here they can slowly chip away the tower, but LeBlanc is the one that needs to hit the tower because it's the only ranged champion on the enemy team. Or Griffin's team. Zoe on death cap. Wait. Licorice. Yeah, Licorice is pushing. This is a frustration push. Licorice got caught on red, and now he got caught here too. This Fiora performance went from something good into something awful. And now Griffin can end. Inhib at least. The Viper should legit just tank any of the spells that are flying towards the minion wave. Demacia! Sword in the mid lane. Okay. Clean 1-4 from Griffin. Very straightforward. They're gonna get double inhib here, and then they don't have another Nash, and the wave clear from C9 is quite strong. Dive I like as well. Dive here to pressure end. It's quite good. But they use a lot of their tools, and Fiora's up now. Yomi ult is now wasted as well. Griffin reset is also cool. Double inhib now. It's gonna slow down Fiora's push on bottom. She's gonna pressure a lot. GP as well, starting to get quite fed. Maybe he can find ways to stop the Fiora as well with a good barrel and maybe some crits. So all that Fiora advantage is just in the toilet. In the toilet. Flush this game down already. Fiora getting caught so many times. It's disappointing because Licorice had evidently a very good performance early on, and C9 just didn't know how to play out their composition, which is tricky. You know, it's easy to sit here in hindsight to say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done this, but that's my job, right? In the game, it might be harder, especially with a composition like this. This is not something that you play every day. But if they drafted it, they should have known. That's all. Niski quite deep. Super creep stacking. Licorice is defending, is on mid. If you're in a position in the game where your Fiora needs to group on mid, then you know the game is lost. Griffin is now pushing top. Baron is not spawning for another 1 minute and 20. No Elder Dragon either. Healing up Chovy as soon as he gets hit by any poke from Niski. And now Viper is just a tanky monster. C9 are looking to pressure the inhib, but they're pinging bot. Big Wave is stacking, and Sword is setting up for the top tower. Here, if Griffin slow them down enough, Sword can push and create an inhib situation. Griffin should just push mid wave and then collapse on top with the wave the Sword has built. They should walk towards that wave now, because that wave bottom is just gonna last so long. They're not on time. Zoe already pushed that wave on top. GPU lands. They can look for a dive. What the fuck did Sword do to them? Because look at their HP. So Sona is taking a barrel right in the forehead. Boom. Their whole team took a barrel. So Sword, even throughout the criticism throughout this game, it seems like he's a late game Gangplank player. Because look at this barrel. Look at the HP bars of Sneaky, Zazel, and Blabberoni. Here, he turns them into a salami, pepperoni. He turns them into all types of sausages. Look at that. They get fucking chunked to fuck all alone by Sword. And then he GP ults right away and gives Griffin an opportunity to dive them off the tower, and boom. Blabber, gun to your head, pistol, boom, boom. Gets killed, 1v1 killed. Sword with the heroic re-emergence in this game, while Licorice faltered. Who gives a shit about the early lane phase? Sword did this crazy play. That is monstrous. That is beautiful. That was a great battle. C9 was sleeping on that one, and it gives Griffin an opportunity now to potentially end the game, or just base, take Nash, go with the triple inhib, with the 6 super creeps coming at your enemy, just fucking run them down. This Morello purchase from Sona is reportable, because if he had a death cap right now, you know, he's sitting on some hefty AP numbers. He's sitting on 800 AP with death cap. Instead, he has a Morello because he thinks he's gonna reduce healing. Man, that's a meme. That's a meme right there, man. Boom! I'm happy. I'm happy I caught it. I'm happy I saw it before I got to see this replay, so that's cool. I'm proud of that. Boom. The barrel. Yo ho ho. And a bottle of rum. The Yuumi AP scaling seems to be quite crazy, because you see, as the game progressed, those Qs turned into fucking cannonballs. It was quite crazy. Cannonballs just firing at the enemy. It was nuts. 6 skill points into that Q button. Doesn't slow too much, but who cares? Morello on. He has Medjai's now as well. He is doing a lot of damage. And now the super creeps are swarming. 6 geeks are ganking. 5 gold nose rings. 4 smelly ogres, 3 red snapper, 2 knights of fear, and a gnome's head on a pine tree. I don't know if anyone knows that reference. But, yeah, Viper got chunked, but, you know, he's Garon. He doesn't give a shit. He has a passive that reaches him to full. He has a Warmog naturally in his passive. Now, Chovy, just hit the turret. Just hit the turret. You're the range here. Just hit turret once. Don't do this. You don't need to do this. Chovy, you're trolling. Chovy, you're trolling. What was that? What is this? Chovy choking. Chovy choking. You have to hit the turret. W, hit the turret, W back. Your auto attacks do 400 on the turret right now. Instead, you do this. What was this? What are you thinking, brother? What is this? What the fuck? This is Chovy in this. They look like it's this. This is what he looked like. Like he fucking just smacked his head on the keyboard because he just fucking teleported all over the place. Holy, I activated text. Okay. We can take a look at this as well because Sword burned GA and I didn't see anything about it. Chovy just smacked his head on the keyboard, man. So here, Sword is in deep, gets exhausted. Boom, comboed by Zoe. Good Q here by Niski. Finding some angles. Sword loses his GA and Griffin are forced to recover here with some Yuumi heals. Seems like Yuumi scales better than Sona, but Sona, of course, has a Morello instead of a death cap. So that's definitely a reportable offense. We already said it. She's sitting now on 500 AP with 4 items instead of 800. That's a big difference in my eyes. And then here, look at Chovy's move. We're going to slow that down for all the guys that where this just goes too fast for you. So we're gonna play it. We're gonna play a bit faster first, faster, and then boom. Sorry, here Chovy's entering. Chovy's entering. Oh, Chovy's entering. Look, he W's, misses, ult. Look at that damage from Sneaky, by the way. He has a death cap here, and Chovy gets one-shotted, blasted. Okay, so Chovy misses. He fucking... Did he just Q a creep? Is that what I'm seeing? Because that ult lands and then Q hits. Okay, Q hits. Alright, Q hits. But then he ults back. Blabber puts a new good cocoon. But here Chovy has flash, you know. But he goes back into Sneaky's forehead and then he flashes in that direction instead. It looked hilarious in my eyes. But here... It triggered me the most, not necessarily because of this play, but it triggered me most because he's not just fucking doing the simple thing of Wing and hitting the turret. Like a fucking proper gentleman, you know? So I was a bit, you know, looking at it in slow motion, I have to admit, he did in fact dodge the cocoon by going to the W and then flashing away. Okay, so it didn't look as ridiculous as just smashing your head on the keyboard. He actually had some thinking process behind it, but it just disappoints me that he just doesn't recognize that he needs to hit the tower because, you know, super creeps have been going towards this turret for such a long time that the inhibitor on bottom is spawning, the inhibitor on mid is spawning, so it's just crazy to me. Now the creeps are flowing. Okay, Tarzan is a bit too deep. There's gonna be a kill for... okay, what's happening here? Sword? Sword? What's happened to Sword? He's walking up. What the fuck? Look at Sword. Look at Sword. Look at Sword here. Look at Sword, okay? He's walking up, he's walking up, he's walking up. Look at this, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look how he's walking. He's high-fiving Licorice and continues to walk straight. As if he didn't realize. And now he realizes. And then he dies. And then he flashes. This is the reactions of I don't know. Okay. So this final push of Griffin really needs some work. Tarzan going for the end. Tarzan going for the end. Look at that. So Tarzan gets chunked. And then he W, he flashes. He doesn't have kick. He kicked the Nexus once. Wow. And now Elder is spawning. It's tough for C9 to go there though. What a fucking game. This final push was a tragedy, man. On every account. The inhibs have spawned. So honestly here, there's some opportunity here. Is there any wards on the Nexus? I can't see. I see a ward on the Nexus. Garen can take Yuumi. Chovy has no TP. Garen can take Yuumi and they look for the Nexus push. Could happen. Here if I'm C9, I'm sweeping that base. Those base wards are quite lethal. Quite dangerous. So this is a replay that we've all been asking for. Sword. Taking a lot of damage. I think Chovy just needed to auto the turret more, and Griffin needed to be a bit more compact. Just because you have so much space to play with, you can just attack from one angle, you know, because Cena have no engage, you just have poke. But the moment you split up, then Fiora can isolate the target and go, which happened to Sword there. So Griffin just need to make sure that they are sticking together, close to each other. Remember to use the disengage tools, use the fact that they have super creeps coming, the enemy team. Can't hit Zoe Qs if you're going with creeps, you have Nashor, and then just slowly chip away at the turret. Instead, Griffin was spreading out a lot and giving C9 a lot of time here to recover. But now there's an Elder Dragon on the board. Griffin is gonna push. Now with the Mountain, maybe they can finally get the Nexus down, but I don't think Mountain is increasing Nexus damage, so I apologize for that joke. It was in poor taste. Sorry for insulting Mountain Drakes. They are the greatest Drake on the planet. Magic resistance continued to be bought here by Tarzan. Now there is also the Executioner's Calling item. What is it called? Lord Dominic's Regard or Mortal Reminder? I don't know which one it is, but you know, you catch my drift. The item is right here. The bow. The bow or whatever it is. Okay. So let's continue here. Chovy should be approaching full items soon. Maybe they need another Nashor because C9 are just clearing here and Griffin are being afraid of approaching. Blabber loses 1v1 to Tarzan, that's for sure. Blabber doesn't have a Void Stab, I believe. The red buff, the Elder Dragon is also taken away. Oh, Niski! Oh. Whoa, 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 whoa. You better check yourself before you riggedy wreck yourself. Chovy was like, what the fuck? Queuing like that is bad for your health. Because Chovy just one-shotted him. Wow. So it went from tricky for Griffin, slowly, to completely free. That's the fun part about late game games, right? So here, Griffin are gonna end, no problem. Zeyzal is going for the engage. Look at him go. He wants to fucking fight. He knows the enemy is approaching the Nexus. He's like, ah! He's going in with his war paint. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look at that kick. Tarzan, Q, boom. Bam. Sneaky. Not so sneaky because you got kicked in the forehead, brother. Survives though somehow. Tarzan dies. So who's laughing now, huh? Who's laughing now? But now the Beyblade is coming. Viper is coming to finish off. Sneaky. Licorice spawns, but no one really cares. You got caught and the hype train died for you, Licorice. You got caught multiple times. One time tactfully because you got Nash. And then your team kind of entered and you TP'd poorly onto mid lane. But, will be forgotten. So obviously Fiora in such a grouped scenario is not so good anymore. Like the game just... there is late game and then there's deep late game. And Fiora in deep late game is not as crazy as it seems. So Griffin managed to steal away a win. I don't know why you guys forced me to fucking review this. This was a long fucking game. I don't know if anyone stuck around till the end. I always ask the same if anyone sticks around till the end. But some conclusions here. Garen Yuumi, together with the right champions, if they have enough tools to engage onto Sonatam, I think they are better. Because Yuumi ult is just too powerful as an engage tool. And Q damage scales so well as well. So even if the poke gets kind of neglected, you still do enough damage to burst targets down. And this is a very squishy composition here from C9. Usually you want something tanky that can eat those Yumi Qs in fights or something like this. But here everyone's squishy, that Yumi damage is going to begin to count, LeBlanc damage is going to begin to count. And a big thing here is the fact that C9 got a lot done in the early game. Griffin had a better 2v2 mid lane that they barely used. They also have a sword that was losing the Fiora matchup early, which was a complete joke. Usually Fiora wants to scale into the matchup and then do better, but Fiora was winning from minute 1. So that was really, really big for Licorice, and that's why I praised him. Blabber made a very big mistake where they could have probably have gotten a big lead onto Sword. They could have denied him so much if he didn't show on the mid wave and go into bottom. You can rewind it back and take a look at that mistake, and you can understand exactly why I reacted so heavily on it. Because he had 2 camps topside, give up the crab, doesn't matter if Lee Sin's hovering into bottom, you're going to deny GP big time there because Fiora had the push and then the wave bounced. And you are stronger than Lee Sin 1v1, so Lee Sin cannot contest. He lost the crab already, he lost the golems, you could have secured your Vuls, your Gromp, stay in Fog, and then punish Sword, and all would have been good. And on top of that, if you stay in Fog, Tarzan still has a tricky time to make decisions. He doesn't know if he can go for your Raptors, because if he face checks you, he's going to die, especially when mid lane is even like that with Zoe and LeBlanc. So this was a tragedy on many accounts, many big mistakes, and that's kind of the trend of this tournament. Teams not understanding exactly what their win conditions are, and teams understanding them better. So it's important, it's fun how every game is kind of different. That is what the unique picks are bringing, because teams can't really figure out how they're supposed to end the game. And here C9 got caught multiple times in a winning position in a bad engage because Griffin recognized, wow, we're in trouble, we need to engage before Fiora pressures, and they went for it, and Fiora was forced to TP, and Griffin found many opportunities. So that is a very big point. You know, people don't understand how to win games with crazy picks, and everyone's playing crazy picks, and that's pretty much it. Let's even leave on that note. If you manage to subscribe while I'm recording a video, and my recording times are quite random, then you get your own game reviewed on this channel. Boom, your own game. I'm going to criticize you, I'm going to tell you what you're doing good, what you're doing bad, maybe you can improve, maybe you can get depressed, who knows. If you're interested in that offer, you know, go for it. But I'm telling you right now, it's very low chances. This is like slot machine chances. 25,000 subscribers and I eat some fucking spicy shit on my channel, and then we put it out there. I don't know why I agreed to that, but let's make it interesting. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Skip dip doo dip dip doo. Skibby doo boo aboo.